What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is June 17th of 2019. Well, folks, I hope you are having a great day wherever you are and a great start to your week. In today's video, we're going to be focusing in on a specific topic, and that is the state of the market over the last week. Why have we seen such a great rally and follow through on this already exuberant rally that Bitcoin's had, pretty much closing up on all of the losses that we had over the last few weeks and leading to all-time highs for the year? Well, we talked about in a daily update about a week ago about how if we got a breakout above 8,400 on the hourly, this would lead us most likely to continue the rally towards 10,000. And if we had a break below 7,600, this would lead us towards our continued correction down to 6,000. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the catalysts that might be leading this, and a lot of them don't have to do with, I think, a lot of the surface level stuff that people are talking about. It actually has a lot to do with the liquidity shift under the given markets that we're taking a look at. Again, it's a game of inflows and outflows, so we're going to dive into that in today's video. And then also we have a sponsored review of the project Energi, which I recommend you all stick around for. Energi is not an ICO or an IEO. They're not asking for a dime of capital, and they're also going to give away some free coins. So if you guys want to learn about that, stick around for the review. I really recommend it. Alrighty, so taking a look over the last 7 days, altcoins and Bitcoin across the board, cryptocurrencies have been on a nice rally with very few exceptions in the red. Now, a lot of these leading the market are players like Grin, for example, which has finally come out of the woodwork. I'm going to talk a little bit about the rally of Grin because I've just mentioned it a lot in the past, and I think some people now seeing that the price is finally moving up. It's gone 100% up in the last 7 days off of an already stellar rally over the last 2 or 3 weeks. People are going to probably ask, Nick, is this a time to buy it? And I've actually closed some of my positions on Grin, and I'll explain why. Chainlink, again, continuing to lead the market after the recent partnership announcement or hint with Google, and also Energi, one of our sponsors today. But also KuCoin shares. This is something that kind of still stuns me a little bit. Some of the money has moved out of Binance because I think people believe that KuCoin is going to be an alternative exchange that people in the US can use. I want to let people know, at least from my experience using it, you're not supposed to really use it if you're in the United States to trade. I know I couldn't get through and actually use it because I'm in the US and I'm not going to be using a VPN to try and break through it. So again, I'm curious why that's kind of going up, but I'm assuming it's due to the fact that Binance closed off US consumers and some of that liquidity again is circulating out of BNB. Now we can see over the last 24 hours, again, there's not too many cryptocurrencies that are in the red. But the one thing I really want to kind of focus on, that I think is a major point to drive home, is that this is all a game of liquidity exiting out of altcoins right now, guys. And it's not that I'm talking crap about altcoins or don't believe that they could gain in the next few weeks. I'm just trying to provide some rational explanation. And we can see that there's a direct correlation as we take a look at the TA side of things. As Bitcoin has been rallying here really over the last week and a half since we had this correction period, as it looked like we were starting to formulate a head and shoulders pattern, we really broke through this and actually had a nice steady day of volume yesterday on most of the fiat gateways when we saw a major exit of a lot of these other cryptocurrencies. But notice the volume itself has been relatively thin. Right? There hasn't been a lot of new entry of liquidity into the crypto space that's led these prices up. Volume is pretty low. It's nothing like, for example, the parabolic rally that we had here. As you can see, there's a really nice steady rally on volume here back in early May. Then again, we're not seeing any serious sell-side volume. We're seeing upside movement, but there's not a major entry of liquidity like we had on these days. So what could be leading it? Well, it's circulation of already existing capital in cryptocurrency markets. And I have a list here on Binance. I mean, we can take a look at individual charts, but as we take a look here at the list here for market overview, we can just see that all these BTC pairs, for the most part, are basically neutral or in the red, right? The vast majority are seeing downside action, if not just barely keeping up with Bitcoin with 0.5 or 1% gains against Bitcoin. So we're seeing that exit of crypto capital. And a lot of this has to do with the Binance shutdown to US clients in September. This is going to knock a lot of altcoins down because I know a lot of people say, well, they're opening off a US office, and not to mention other exchanges like Bittrex and Poloniex and even Coinbase, which is finally now starting to list altcoins, will just list all these other coins. They're going to try and steal the business. Guys, the problem with that is that a lot of these, altcoins are ICOs, and exchanges are very wary to list anything that's conducted in ICO. that isn't actually delivering on what it promised. There's a lot of projects out there that need to be purged in a sense, as we talked about in our previous video, that will not be coming back. And that's just because we're in the .com days. We're in the wild west of crypto. There's a lot of projects out there that sold us hopes and dreams, and a little have delivered, not to mention some of them might have violated securities law. And again, I believe everyone should have the right to invest in what they want, but that's the sad reality of things, guys. There is regulators that will keep the liquidity from getting to these exchanges. Now, could we see DEXs? Possibly. And I would like to see a DEX takeover. I'm really big on the DeFi movement and, giving a middle finger to the government. I think you should have the right to trade and do as you please with your money. But it's the current state of affairs here. That's what it has explained this kind of rally of Bitcoin, and that's why you can have a lack of liquidity on the fiat gateways, which we take a look at all the time. We're taking a look at now. This is GDAX, and that's how we can still see price increase, right? There's capital circulating between a variety of assets in this space. So anyways, just wanted to make that point clear. Now we'll dive into some other reasons as well. One thing I wanted to talk about is Grin. As you all know, I had been long on Grin for some time, and I actually recently closed my position in Grin. I'll explain the reasoning for that. I bought in a little bit early into Grin when it was launched on Poloniex, I think a week or two after it got on there. And I should have waited for the trend to reverse, but I got a little bit eager, to be fair with you all. I loved the tech in regards to the project. Mimblewimble is a really exciting technology to bring privacy and fungibility to transactions. I love that it was crowdsourced and crowdfunded. It wasn't done through an ICO or an IEO. It was just through people donating to support the development and, made by open source developers. And, everything about it is really nice. Outside of its monetary policy, I think it's really cool. And we have yet to see a cryptocurrency outside of Grin and Beam really implement Mimblewimble. That being realized, the reason why I'm wary about this rally and why I closed in my gains, or at least recouped some of my losses around $4.50 to $5, is because of one thing. And this is a lesson for pretty much any crypto guys. I just want you guys to learn to watch out for this. And that is where the liquidity is coming from. I don't trust volume from Gate.io, MXC, DragonX, Bitforex, or QBTC. The only exchanges I do trust are Poloniex, KuCoin, and Bittrex in this list. And the reason I say that is because a lot of these exchanges, I don't know people, and I know a lot of people from a variety of places in the world who use these exchanges, and B, if you take a look at their volume across the board, the volume numbers that they're bringing up are ridiculous. They're very difficult to believe that they're actually getting in this kind of volume into these cryptocurrencies. It's very sporadic. You can take a look at the 24-hour volume and how it just doesn't match up with a lot of these exchanges. Now, Poloniex, KuCoin, and Bittrex have very organic volume comparative to a lot of other exchanges out there. So that's my major point. I'm not trying to, down talk on all these specific exchanges, but you can see the bulk of the volume here. Pretty much everything else, excluding a little bit over 5%, which is coming from these three exchanges, is coming from these exchanges that could very well be producing fake volume. That's just my one concern. That's not a problem with the developers or the actual fundamentals. It's just with the market, right? So I just wanted to talk about that. But let's go ahead and focus in on the three reasons why Bitcoin might be rallying. So we talked about a liquidity shift. That's already one of them, but there's another two reasons as well that could be playing into this. So first off, this is more of the surface level kind of topic that people are talking about, and it will be very important for cryptocurrency markets, I think, as we've been talking about it for months now, and that is Facebook's global coin. Got it. Man, I was joking about this with my brother, and he made a really good point. You couldn't have named Facebook's cryptocurrency something more fitting, global coin. It just sounds like I just picture global corporation creating global coin. Anyways, just sounds very maniacal. Welcome to global coin. Alrighty. Well, anyways, as we all know, global coin is going to be unveiled very, very soon. It is Facebook's stable coin. And as much as this is not really like an altcoin or something of that sort, it's a stable coin. This is going to bring a lot of talk towards the cryptocurrency space. And it is going to be a huge entry of adoption into the digital asset market. It's going to show people how to work with wallets, how to transfer money, and if you can get people utilizing these systems, getting more used to it, as Facebook is doing this in the ambition of becoming basically the WeChat or WePay or Alipay of the West and the rest of the world, this is going to get a lot of people comfortable with digital assets for the very first time. It's going to be a huge breakthrough in that case. Now, do I like Facebook coin? No. Do I think that Facebook coin is a cryptocurrency? No, but it is going to get people very used to utilizing the same payment systems and methods that we utilize in our crypto ecosystem. QR codes, being able to send things peer-to-peer, right? You know, I think it's going to be kind of exciting. Now, obviously, Facebook is probably tracing transactions and selling the data on top of those transactions and all kinds of things. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see what it is. We don't really know what, you know, Facebook coin is at the moment. We'll have to wait and see if it might be something more positive than we think. But again, I don't plan to be using Facebook coin. Now, the second thing here to talk about is Binance barring US customers. We already talked about this, the exit of liquidity from cryptocurrencies, because if you take a look at the BTC pairs for Litecoin and for BNB and for some of the major altcoins, you'll see that there's a pretty good flight of capital out of these cryptocurrencies. At least people aren't paying the premiums in Bitcoin that they used to, which means that likely a lot of capital that you know, is circulating in the system right now is flowing outside of these altcoins. So again, some might be a contrarian and pick up on the dip. But again, with BNB, I think you need a good 40 to 50% correction. When you're going to lose 15% of the volume like that, you know, from the exchange, you know, not to mention the coin itself has been quite overextended. I think that, you know, this is going to need a decent pullback. And we're going to see Bitcoin likely carry through to 10,000. That's not going to bode well for a lot of these altcoins that already are in a corrective period. Now, the third thing here as well is the Litecoin halving. Building into this point as well, you would think that the Litecoin halving, as it gets closer and closer, is going to lead towards Litecoin mooning and Bitcoin decaying. Well, as we talked about in a previous video about Litecoin, I really recommend you guys go check it out. Litecoin tends to close down a lot of its gains before the actual halving. And when the actual halving hits, last time we had one for Litecoin, it actually led Bitcoin to rallying, right? It's kind of counterproductive in a sense, but I think it's basically people claiming gains on the speculation of Litecoin being worth more as it moves towards the Litecoin halving, right? So that's the major thing here. You guys can take a look at some of this TA here on the article if you like on CoinDesk. But again, I think this is a good summary of what's going on right now. A lot of the major topics that go a little bit deeper than some of the surface level topics that people have been discussing. But anyways, I'd like to know what you all think down below in the topics we talked about. Let's go ahead and dive into our review on Energi. All right, everyone, so let's go ahead and spend some time to take a look over today's sponsor, and that is Energi. Now, before we dive into the project itself, I want to make something abundantly clear from the get-go. No matter if it's an interview or review, sponsored or not, anything here on the channel is open to criticism, and I'll be as brutal and as honest as I want to be. That being realized, in the case of Energi, there's actually a lot of positive things to take away from the project, and I have minimal to no criticisms as I really agree with the project's philosophy. So let's go ahead and clear a few things right off the bat before we dive into the depths of the project. First off, it's not an ICO or an IEO. They haven't raised a dime of capital for the project, which I find really exciting. In fact, they've taken an opposite approach. It's actually been self-funded, and they've decided that they want to airdrop a good chunk of the beginning supply of the currency through their airdrop campaign. And I'm going to show you guys how you can get some of it at the end of the video. And as I mentioned, it was self-funded by its founder, Tommy World Power, who, just like me, is a cryptocurrency YouTuber. And I'm going to keep referring back to that point throughout this video. I might beat it like a dead horse, but I think it's a very important point when reviewing Energi as a project, and why I like it so much, because it nails in its philosophy all of the key points that I look for. Not all of them, but a good chunk of what I look for a peer-to-peer digital currency or cryptocurrency. And I think there's a reason for that, because I think Tommy, like myself, has gone through hundreds of white papers. He's seen the pros and cons of the cryptocurrency space. He has seen what's worked and what hasn't. And he's taken a lot of the gems and these great protocols that exist out there, these open source ecosystems, and has plucked from a lot of these projects and combined it into what he sees as a designer protocol, a perfected kind of cryptocurrency protocol. So I've rambled on about that a little bit. If you guys would like to read the story here in relation to Tommy and his background, or check out his YouTube channel, I'll have that link down below in the description. But I want to go ahead and talk about why Energi sets itself apart and really what Energi is as a protocol. So Tommy, like myself, is really fascinated in the concept of the Treasury model. Now, as many of you probably already know, you've probably heard me ramble on about Dash a lot on this channel and their efforts in Venezuela, where they've been able, in the last year, in a bear market in 2018, they were able to 5x their merchants. And this is all due to the fact that Dash has a treasury model that basically takes or extracts 10% of all new coins that are minted in blocks or mined in a block into this treasury that's controlled by a DAO. And that DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization, very fancy term for a governance model that's, no central authority. It's actually controlled by masternodes. And those are people who have a large stake in the currency. So in the case of Dash, if I have 1,000 Dash, I can run a masternode and I have a vote on how those funds are spent on certain proposals. And this can be for marketing, this can be for development work, it can be for infrastructure, whatever it may be that could help expand the cryptocurrency. And you have an incentive to make that cryptocurrency, expand. So you obviously want to make sure that the treasury is using the funds in a proper manner. And Tommy, I think, just like myself, is fascinated in this concept. In fact, he actually goes as far as to claim that, Bitcoin is burning $5 billion on average a year in mining. If you think about it, in a proof of work network, Bitcoin itself has to depend on open source contributing developers. They do not have, income, basically generating factors in the network that can help pay for developers, that can help pay for marketing. There has to be economic incentives for people to provide those things. And I think that it's really exciting that Tommy sees it in that light, that he's very kind of hawkish on the idea that there needs to be a treasury, because I 100% agree with him. I think that it's the reason Dash has been very successful, and they've really taken it to the next level. In fact, if you take a look at their treasury model, right now at the current valuation that Energy's at, their treasury model brings in even more money in the sense of the current valuation of Energy than Dash does on a monthly basis. And that's when it was trading at a 30 times less value comparative to Dash. So you can see that a lot more of the supply initially is going into the treasury model, right? Very important thing to take right off the bat. Now, outside of that as well, Energi, even though it's really centered around this philosophy of the treasury and that every dollar put into it, if used properly, will yield $1 or more in value in the sense of the utilization of those treasury funds, they have a really extensive roadmap. Now, I'm not going to dive into everything on the roadmap because obviously time probably won't permit it, but the major thing that Energi started off as is pretty much as a cryptocurrency, almost seen as a store of value, or an aim at a store of value, and also peer-to-peer currency. But they actually want it to be programmable as well. And in 2019 into 2020, they're working towards launching Energi 3.0. So they're going through the continued development for this year, and hopefully sometime as early as Q3 of 2019, we're going to start to see testing of this. Now, this is going to allow Energi to do some pretty cool things. As we've seen in the Ethereum movement, as you all know, which has one of the largest developer communities, there's been a really interesting trend, and that is the DeFi movement. And I really think that Energi is going to take upon this. Energi, and I think Tommy and the rest of the team behind it, they see that there needs to be a programmable framework for cryptocurrencies. And this is why RSK is really big with Bitcoin in the sense of being able to deploy smart contracts for Bitcoin. So I think they get this in this case. And this is really the next step for Energi, to turn into more than a cryptocurrency that's very volatile, to actually basically build a protocol framework that is programmable to make really interesting use cases for Energi as a cryptocurrency. So that maybe, for example, you could create an Energi-based stablecoin where you can lock up your Energi as collateral and generate something very similar to DAI. I think things like that would be a really cool improvement on Energi. And I have no doubt that they're probably working or thinking about those kind of things, as well as other decentralized or distributed financial applications that you can input into Energi once it's programmable. Now, they also have some interesting things outside of just wanting to be a smart contract platform. They're going to have a mobile wallet later on in 2019. And into 2020, there's a lot of different things. They want to launch a Venezuela adoption campaign, very similar to what we saw with Dash. I think stuff like this is awesome. And it's really, really cool to see, because to me, I think this is kind of the rat race here. If Energi is willing to put more of its supply into the treasury model, and Energy's value keeps rising up as it has as a recent, they will have plenty of funds to possibly outpace Dash. As Dash has started to kind of slow off on some of these efforts, as I've talked to some of the leadership and some of the communities, they've kind of slowed down on this campaign to expand into other areas and have focused on gaming and things of that sort, more Western markets. And honestly, I think Energi has their eye on the prize here. They want to focus on more underdeveloped economies. And they also plan to launch an exchange as well that's going to be using Energi as the base pair, which I think is just more good for market value in that case. And again, you can take a look more into the details on their website. Now, in regards to the developer team, what I really like about it, guys, is as I take a look through the team, I don't mean this in a really mean way. I just don't see like, it's not like most ICOs where they try to just sell you on big Fortune 500 individuals. This seems to me like a genuine distributed team of people who really like the concept of what's being built. And you have a lot of people as well who do have some serious experience. For example, Andre is one of the developers here who has had an extensive background in payments industries as a developer in the past. And there's all kinds of different individuals. Again, I can't dive through every single one of them, but you can see they're distributed all over the world, filling a variety of roles. They actually have real like kind of a business development on the top layer. You also have people who are building a user experience that's optimal. I've gone through on some of the wallets that basically have Energi in this case, but they're actually going to be building their own custom wallet in that case, as well as the web wallet. And you can see here as well, they have people who are all around the world contributing in certain ways, from marketing efforts to community management, and a variety of different developers who have built in previous cryptocurrency projects. So again, I think it's good to have someone like Tommy at the top who knows what's going on in the cryptocurrency space. He's been around the block. He's seen what's been going on, and you have people like this as well, in a variety of different facets, some for more traditional work in some of the cryptocurrency space. And again, you can focus in here on the website if you'd like to take a look at who they've got in specific categories. For their advisors here as well, I don't see any major highlights from individuals I know personally, but again, I think they're fine individuals. I have nothing negative to say on the team. No serious red flags. In the sense of the treasury, I want to talk about something that I find really cool. It's one thing to have everything on a blockchain, but very similar to what I've seen in Dash in the past. I think it's really cool that they show what is the treasury reserve at the moment. You can see they've got 2.3 million coins, but also how that treasury is being used to some degree. Now, I will say, as a just kind of recommendation, I would recommend the site if they could in some way possibly format this a little bit better. But I really do like how you actually have the information right here that tells you exactly how much energy is being used for what. So as we go through here, you can see basically in these super blocks, it's basically these pay cycles, or they actually pay people for certain work. You can see how it breaks up into different categories here. You can see it goes into the defense of the network, marketing, operations, development, and you can see how much energy was spent on it, or the equivalent of how much, in the measurement of Bitcoin was being spent. So again, very interesting stuff. Now, I don't know, for example, and this is one thing I'm very curious about, is that whether or not some of this is actually being paid in Bitcoin, and that's maybe why they have to mark it here, or if it's all just being paid straight in Energi, because there are some people, for example, who require Bitcoin as payment, things of that sort. But again, you can go through here and see all of this stuff transparently, which is really, really exciting. So again, I recommend you guys, if you guys get engaged in the project, keep an eye on the Treasury, see what goes on, and if you guys feel like they're actually using the Treasury model effective and stuff, it could be a really big plus for Energi as a project. Now, I want to go ahead and make something very clear for those of you who want to get your hands on Energi. There is a link down below to the Earn Drop campaign where you can participate in the round 2, which is going on right now. You guys use the link down below. You'll be able to get up to $100 worth of Energi at current market value, which is pretty exciting. Now, they won't give it to you right away. They have to go through the basically the whole round, and once the round's ready, they'll distribute the coins into individuals' wallets and things of that sort. So again, really exciting stuff. You can do it in the US and a variety of other countries according to the list that they have on there. So you should be able to participate in your Earn Drop campaign. Now, we've talked a lot about Energi as a project today. We've dove into the major philosophy of the Treasury, the fact that they've updated the network over time. They're not only moving towards Energi 3.0, which is going to make it programmable, but they recently went to Energi 2.0, which is now a proof of stake network rather than the proof of work network that it was before. But there's a few other resources that I want to toss you guys towards. Feel free to not only check out their YouTube channel, which again, I'll have a link down below, but there's a 10-part video series that the Energi project has funded, which is really, really well made. The individual who kind of like conducts and everything is not only very well spoken, she's pretty much hits the nail on the head on why cryptocurrency is important in general. So they teach that in this, but they also talk about what Energi is as a project and the kind of goals and aspirations of the project. So again, if you're interested, check it out. And the last thing I want to talk about is really current price valuation, and more the technical side of things, and bring up one of my few things that I'd like to see improved upon. And again, it's not really at the fault of anything technically of the project. So Energi, again, was started back in the summer of 2017 by Tommy Power, and it's come a really long way, guys. I mean, I've been watching this again since the fall of 2018. At least in the sense of its price. I know about kind of the project for some time, but you can just see here how Energi has really started to take off here. I mean, it's crazy to see it go from around a $2 million market cap all the way up to around 60 to 70 million. So props to Tommy. I think people are getting behind the idea. A lot of people are registering for the earn drop campaign. Now, taking that into account, the one thing I will say is, as much as I think the valuation is still quite favorable for long-term growth, I think there's still some room for it to grow if it continues to succeed and its treasuries used optimally. The one thing I'll say is that in the sense of like buying it and stuff, I'm not going to recommend one way or the other, guys. You have to determine that for yourself. The one thing that I'm worried about is that I personally can't purchase any or sell any of the currency, because the only exchanges right now are DigiFinex, KuCoin, and a few other kind of smaller no-name exchanges that I don't really know about. Now, again, you can get your free coins if you want through the earn drop campaign, which is good. But I'll say that the vast majority of the volume right now is coming from DigiFinex, which is, in my, for my knowledge, known for wash trading or market making. And because of that, I think a lot of the volume can be denominated. So I think the one thing it's lacking right now, to be fair, a lot of it's locked up and it's an early stage cryptocurrency, is liquidity, right? And hopefully we'll get that over time. Hopefully exchanges will launch Energi on their platform. And the thing is, it's a fine candidate to be launched because it's not an ICO or an IEO, so it's out of the range of securities. It's a cryptocurrency, right? Now, some people would say possibly if you're worried about the airdrop campaign. That's really, again, a topic for a legal debate and stuff still in the cryptocurrency space. But I'd say at the end of the day, I mean, it's minor stuff, guys. I mean, with some of the stuff that gets listed even on some of the A-grade exchanges in the US, like Bittrex, I think Energy's got a chance to get listed on some nice exchanges in the US. So I'll be looking out for that. It's not the end of the world. I care more than anything about what Tommy is really concerned about, and that is building a usable cryptocurrency, getting real merchant adoption, cutting out all the the just surrounding area of just kind of speculation, wanting to make another altcoin. He really wants to build something, and I admire that. I've thought in the past about building my perfect, ideological cryptocurrency philosophy, and it seems like Energi is one of the closest things to that, which is why I'm happy to talk about it here today. And I would recommend that you guys take a deeper dive into it and really make the assessment for yourself as to whether or not you're excited for the project. But anyways, that's going to be it for the review today, guys. I appreciate you all staying through and listening in. If you guys want to learn more about Tommy, go check out his YouTube channel, go follow him on social media, and check out any of the other links down below to learn about what Energi is all about. If you want to get engaged in the community, they have a community tab here on their website to practically any social media or different type of communication channel you can think of, and you can get engaged with them through their earn drop campaign. By just simply joining a few things, you can earn Energi. It's pretty cool. So anyways, I will see you guys in the Energi community, as I'm one of the many supporters out there of the project, and I wish all the best to Tommy and the rest of the team who are contributing to make this happen. And until the next video, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Stay tuned.